This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
You know, they talk about they're going to offer it, but it takes so long for veterans to receive it.
Healthcare for veterans. Many veterans are disabled after serving. Some require medical attention throughout the year. So why is it so hard for them to get the care they need? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on veteran health care in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with the story that shocked the community, the trial of a former Sarasota Sheriff's deputy, Frank Bybee. The former deputy is accused of stealing thousands of dollars from an elderly woman, then trying to kill her. Bybee faces 18 felony charges, including attempted murder and kidnapping. Today, the alleged 80-year-old victim took the stand, detailing her relationship with Bybee and the months leading up to the night that she says he tried to suffocate her.
I tried to get away from him. He put his hands on my face like this and like this. And I kept moving around trying to get away and kept waiting to see the white light that you're supposed to see before you die. And I started saying, "Oh, Frank, please, please stop, go away, don't hurt me anymore."
Bybee is also accused of stealing $65,000 from Sol. The defense arguing the checks were never cashed, that Sol is bipolar, and that she was kicked out of multiple facilities because of her demeanor. Testimony resumes tomorrow. A 20-year-old Sarasota woman is facing additional charges of burglary. Sarah Young was arrested on September 19th and charged with 2 counts of burglary and 2 counts of criminal use of personal information. The Sarasota County Sheriff's Office continued their investigation into other burglaries on Siesta Key and connected Young with 4 additional crimes. She is being held on $6,000 bond. Northport is close to officially approving medical cannabis dispensaries. The city has held several public meetings since last November's election when voters approved medical cannabis across the state. Since then, the city has drafted a number of ordinances. Last night's vote, the latest, if the approved dispensaries will be allowed to open up within the city. Tonight, the Suncoast is stepping up the effort to help those struggling in Puerto Rico. Agape Flights Christian Ministry in Venice is sending a plane filled with aid and supplies for victims. 21,000 pounds of food, diapers, and generators are on the way to Puerto Rico tomorrow.
Right now, people are dying. Patients that they need dialysis, they're dying because there's no way so they can actually get dialysis.
Crespo says he appreciates the help people are providing to Puerto Rico and his family. A blood bank serving the Suncoast is now sending shipments of blood to Puerto Rico. One Blood is working with the American Red Cross, the Blood Centers of America, and America's Blood Centers to coordinate daily shipments of blood and platelets to hospitals in Puerto Rico. The widespread destruction and flooding are making blood collection on the island difficult. Hospitals are in need of help to ensure a ready blood supply for patients. In Manatee County, uncollected tree limbs and other debris from Hurricane Irma are still sitting on curbsides. It's estimated that the storm left more than 1 million cubic yards of debris and may cost the county millions of dollars to remove it. Residents should be separating debris. County officials say a FEMA reimbursement may take a while. If you remember last night, we reported whether the NFL protests that will spread through high school football on the Suncoast. Today, the Sarasota County School Board says it doesn't have a policy regarding the national anthem. The topic is not on the school board agenda, but some administrators and athletic directors are discussing it. As for Manatee County School Board, it's a code of conduct requires a student to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem unless excused in writing by a parent. And Bob, Friday Night Footballs this week is on Thursday night. And what's the weather like?
That's right. Thursday night, maybe they won't get any rain. Every Friday, it seems like rain has been around, but Yom Kippur, they're going to move it up to Thursday night. Looks a lot better than Friday because Friday we're going to have additional moisture come back into the weather picture. As far as the radar goes, you can see the review. We've had inland storms all week long, and that's been the case. Not much going on near the coast. I know some of the lawns are turning a little brown lately, and that's the result of a lack of rain near the coast. But that may be changing as early as this weekend. That one storm that you see there in eastern portions of Sarasota County and southeast Manatee has been around a while, and it's still generating a lot of lightning right near Hidden River. Hidden River getting hit by some big lightning right now, some very heavy rainfall. Storm's not moving much right now. Number of strikes, 48 in just the last 10 minutes. Positive strikes at 15. Those carry more amperage and can cause fires rather quickly. Currently, Sarasota, it's sunny near the beaches, 84. The heat index is up there at 90, and winds are out of the northwest at 10. The pressure, 2987. That's rising ever so slightly. And from the enhanced satellite imagery, what we are noticing now near and south of the ABC7 on the right-hand side of the screen, that is a major hurricane. That makes the 5th major hurricane of the season, which is unusual. You don't see that very often. And then notice south of Florida, all that moisture there in Cuba and throughout the tropics. That is what we're watching closely. Water temperatures there right around 90 degrees. And so this is going to be an area of concern that we'll watch over the upcoming days. Right now it's right here near Jamaica, near Cuba, the eastern tip. This is going to move up northward. And there's a chance it could develop a little low pressure here, then move up here, then move across the state on Sunday and Monday. That would bring us a good chance for some very heavy rainfall here. Right now, it doesn't appear it's going to be anything significant in terms of wind, but it will be noticeably breezier come Sunday and Monday. You'll notice that as simply a result of the low pressure area being near a high pressure to the north of us. Well, more on that in a little bit.
We need water for the lawns, but I could skip the wind and all the other stuff. All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, after service members are discharged from the military, it could be a long process to getting health care that they require. What is being done to speed up the process? We'll tell you when we come back.
Want the latest weather and traffic conditions wherever you go? Introducing ABC7's revolutionary new First Alert weather app. With our state-of-the-art new weather app, you get up-to-the-minute weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, real-time traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download onto all your devices today. Sponsored by Mr. Sparky.
Call to see if you qualify to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan right now. At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book and DVD. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. Call 1-800-558-8779.
You might feel like there's too many problems in the world, or that, you as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can't really make a difference.
It's not always about you. It's not just one person. It's a group. It's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
The ABC7 First Alert Hurricane Guide. Download yours today.
Navigating our beloved healthcare system can be maddening. For vets, it can be even more complicated. ABC7's Dwayne Lindo is here to explain.
Well, Alan, unfortunately for many veterans, it sometimes can be a complex process just to get benefits. But with veteran service officers on the Suncoast, that process may be a bit easier.
Many local veterans over 50 visit Sarasota's Friendship Center to seek help with health care. Their goal? Looking for insurance companies to get the help they need. Veteran Dwayne Ritchie, who served in the Marine Corps, says he's voiced his concern for better health care. He stresses one of the biggest problems for veterans at this point is the lack of coverage and the eligibility factor.
You know, they talk about they're going to offer it, but it takes so long for veterans to receive it.
Friendship Center Clinical Coordinator Valerie Britton admits many of these vets who come through the doors need more.
They need dental, they need more personalized care, they need somebody to help them into the transition of having insurance and Medicare and private plans and secondaries. They need education and assistance.
Some of them getting primary care at the Veterans Center in Sarasota.
But it's very small, it's very hard to get in. They choose to come here because we can see them sooner, because we can offer them a little bit more personal attention. They're not quite as overwhelmed here because there's a very high veteran population in Sarasota.
Manatee County Veteran Service Officer Lee Washington says it's also getting better, but believes the eligibility factor is a big problem as well. He tells us not all veterans are able to be enrolled in the healthcare system.
Ever since 2003, where the income guidelines were tightened up a little bit, for those veterans that don't meet those guidelines, say for instance a single veteran right now, their income has to fall below $38,000 of the previous calendar year in order to be enrolled, unless they fall into special categories, such as being disabled through the military.
Like Vietnam veteran Andy Hooker.
Specifically over the last 20 years has been really good. I'm happy with the care. I had some minor surgery on my back for some cancer they found. Prior to that, I had to get another stent put in an artery. Everything worked out really good.
He's been in the system since 1972. For him, dealing with the system has been smooth sailing.
I think part of the situation also is learning how to navigate the system. You know, knowing what your rights are, knowing what your benefits are.
And now with the Republicans' Graham Cassidy health care plan off the table, Washington says he doesn't see any changing for veterans enrolled in the system.
It's just like anything else. If they have private health insurance, let's say, VA health care is an addition to that. It doesn't replace it. It doesn't stop a veteran from seeing their own doctors. But when you talk about the Affordable Health Care Plan, if a veteran is enrolled in the health care system, it meets that requirement. So I haven't seen anything in the current provisions of the laws that would change that for the veterans, no.
Now, Alan, it should be noted that this fiscal year, Manatee County will have served nearly 15,000 veterans directly.
All right, Dwayne, thank you. Coming up, a veteran's assistant, and a consumer watchdog on the Trapezoid.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. They send out devastating letters, garnish paychecks, and even put liens on your home or business. You may have heard of it. It's called enforced compliance. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms and can negotiate a tax settlement with the IRS. It's that simple. And if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. finally ending your financial stress. Now is the time for a fresh start. Now is the time to call Tax 10,000. 800-699-3188. That's 800-699-3188. Call now.
Welcome back. Ask most vets and they'll probably tell you the treatment that they get at the VA is pretty darn good. The problem isn't the health care, then it's navigating the system. 2 years ago, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs promised to make it easier for vets to get disability benefits and fix systematic delays throughout the VA's network of hospitals and clinics, but challenges remain. And joining us now is Brian Jacobs, an Iraq combat vet, Lee Washington of the Manatee Veterans Health Services, and our own consumer watchdog, Jerry Zivick. Brian, let me start with you because you are a veteran, your brother was a veteran, you deal with veterans every day, and we've talked to you before. Over the last few months, over the last year, has the system and the transition that veterans have to go through once they come back here in order to get into the VA system, is it working any better than it was when we first started talking about this?
Well, you know, I mean, myself, when I got out of the military, it really was about, plugging yourself in from the get-go. A lot of the problems is, when you get a chance to transition from the military to the civilian world, you've got to start while you're in the military. A lot of guys don't get the same transitional assistance. Some guys are coming back from deployment short term and having to get out of the military quicker, and they're not setting themselves up for success. The biggest thing is really getting with other veteran networks and veteran communities within your local community to help guide you. Something great about our community is that every veteran knows a veteran that can help you. And that is really what is making the big transition happen. And it's about having people lead you in the right direction.
Lee, this is what you do. This is your day job. And the interesting facet around here is, yes, we have a veterans clinic in our area here, but the big facilities are in St. Pete and Tampa, and it is difficult for some vets to get out there for the full range of the treatment that they need.
Well, transportation definitely can be an issue for some veterans, but in Manatee County as well as Sarasota County, they both have transports that take veterans there every single day for their scheduled appointments. And we're very fortunate to have not only an outpatient clinic here in Bradenton, but as well in Sarasota on Bee Ridge Road, coupled with the vet center that does the readjustment for those combat veterans.
Jerry, the wait times have been so much in the news over the last couple of years. It was a crisis. It was terrible. From what you have seen, are wait times getting any better?
The VA will tell you so I think we have to take that at face value. 30 years of dealing with government agencies, I'm a little bit skeptical. It always seems to me that since the VA's founding after its Civil War, the VA has been reactionary. It's never been ahead of the curve. And it'd be nice to see the VA knows that the demographics are changing in terms of the number of veterans. Are they going to be relocating? We have a lot of capacity down here now, but as the boomers get older, the boomer veterans, are we going to be able to handle all that?
What are we seeing? We have a new administration in Washington, a new Secretary of Veterans Affairs who was bumped up. He, coming into this administration, was really respected. Are we seeing those kinds of changes?
I think it's a little bit too early to tell. He's only really been on the job for 5 months, and you have budgetary considerations too. I mean, there's some reports that'll say that the VA is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You have the choice program, which has now been extended, but are they taking those resources from the VA and applying them to choice program? We just don't know yet.
Right, and Lee, in terms of that, in terms of the resources that you see that are available to our local veterans here, these are tight fiscal times in Washington, D.C. What are local vets seeing in terms of the resources available, whether it's locally here or in St. Pete or Tampa?
My belief is that locally, and I say locally meaning Bay Pines down to Naples, that's the catchment area in which we live. So that's going to be the main hospital in St. Petersburg, including all the clinics down to the Naples area. In our communities, I think it's really good. I get about 90% of my care through the VA. And although it is quite hard to navigate, my office is tasked with making sure that all the residents of Manatee County are aware of those programs.
Okay, we have to just take a quick break. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on veteran health care right after we get a check on the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face,
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
For the last 18 years, Samantha's Friends has been assisting people along the Sun Coast who have been challenged by catastrophic illnesses or affected by autism obtain a service canine. We need your help. Please show your support by attending our annual Celebrity Gala brunch and fundraiser. Call Sammy Lee at 941-448-8558 for more information.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch ABC7 wherever you are, on our live stream, on mysuncoast.com, on the ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, dining with recipes, and My Suncoast Restaurant Guide. Visit mysuncoast.com. Click on the Apps tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for Apple and Android.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks. In ICU, he went through seizures.
We'd much rather have Aaron like this than dead. A lot of parents don't have that luxury.
He can't talk. He can't walk. This is a condition Aaron will live with for the rest of his life because he abused prescription pills.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Watch your Suncoast News at 6 on your streaming device for a chance to win a $50 Visa. It's easy. Just watch weekdays at 6 for the word of the week. Then enter the word at mysuncoast.com for your shot at a $50 Visa. We'll pick the winner each week. Good luck.
Our conversation on vets navigating healthcare continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, beautiful evening it is near the coast anyway. We've had a lot of sunshine today, hardly any clouds around. Calm conditions out there on the bay, too. Winds and seas will stay rather quiet throughout the day tomorrow, but start to pick up a little bit over the weekend as a tropical system starts to move in our general direction. Yes, I said the word tropical system. It is going to move up from the Caribbean, but it appears that it's not going to be all that strong in terms of wind, but it will bring us some rainfall, something we really don't need in terms of the flooding issues we've seen over the past month now. Heavy rain falling east of I-75 and down to the south and east of us as well. Not much going on near the coast. It's been fairly quiet there, and that's a result of the westerly wind flow around an upper level low spinning off from the Gulf right now. With that upper low in place, it's not conducive for tropical development, so we're not going to see this system develop into anything too significant in terms of windstorm over the upcoming days, but we will see some rainfall, additional rainfall for the area. Right now that rain is starting to wind down to the eastern portions of Sarasota County. I mentioned this tropical disturbance. It's a line of low pressure that extends all the way down now south of Jamaica. You can see some big-time convection here, big-time storms developing, but there's nothing organized around the central area of low pressure at this point, and there's an upper level low spinning right here, so that would inhibit it from developing into anything too soon. The National Hurricane Center only gives it a 10% chance of developing into something, a 20% chance over the next 5 days, 10% over the next 2 days, but it will definitely move in this direction in terms of the moisture, and that means additional rain chance increasing on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You can see this low pressure here spinning around in the upper levels of the atmosphere right there in the eastern Gulf. Well, that is going to exit out of here, and we'll give it a chance, a temporary chance for a couple of days to develop, say after 48 hours, just there near the Florida Straits or the Northwest Bahamas, and then conditions will become less favorable for development down the road. 84 degrees right now. It's still warm out there. The heat index at 90 and winds are out of the northwest at 10. The pressure actually coming up a little bit to 9.87 inches. The high today was 90. That's a couple degrees above the average, and no rainfall to report for the month and for the year, well above average. The hourly forecast for Thursday does call for a slight chance for midday showers and storms. Then most of it should be well inland in the afternoon. There won't be a whole lot of storms tomorrow. But as we approach Friday, as I mentioned, into the weekend, better chances of rain comes in to play as a result of this moisture availability streaming in our direction. Well, this is a major hurricane now. This is the 5th one of the season. This is something to behold. Lee is now moving off to the west, eventually to the north, then to the northeast. And Maria actually went back to hurricane status. Yesterday, it dropped down to a tropical storm with 70-mile-an-hour winds, and now it's back up to 75, making it a Category 1 storm. It's expected to head away from the United States, never making landfall in the U.S., and it will make its way toward Ireland here in a few days from now, and also into near England. Now, as far as Lee is concerned, top winds are at 115. That, too, will do that bend off toward the northeast and eventually dissipate in the next couple of days. So that's not a problem for us, and it looks like for shipping interests only. East winds turn to the northwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet with a light chop out there. The extended forecast shapes up like this. Showers and storms increasing as we push to the weekend. Rain chance at 60% on Saturday for afternoon and evening storms. Better chances on Sunday and Monday due to that tropical system nearby, and could extend all the way into Tuesday. So flooding could be a concern once again. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Every week on Animal Outtakes, it's a new animal adventure.
A hospital dedicated strictly to helping sea turtles. How this facility is making a difference in life of one of the oldest creatures on Earth. And why are some breeds of dogs considered a protector or guard dog breed? We'll take a look at what goes on into owning one.
Join us this week on ABC7.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
I am a veteran. My victory was finding the strength to be a champion.
My victory is having a job I can be proud of.
At DAV, we help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
My victory was finishing my education.
My victory was getting help to put our lives back together.
DAV provides veterans with a lifetime of support.
My victory is being there for my family.
Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back. It's not the healthcare, it's navigating the VA's healthcare system. And joining us for more is Brian Jacobs, an Iraq combat vet, Lee Washington of the Manatee Veterans Health Services, and our own consumer watchdog, Jerry Zivic. There are a number of areas I want to get to. I want to start with Service Connection. It's a story that I have done for a lot of years, and that is the difficulty that veterans sometimes have in terms of proving that their injury, whether it's a physical injury or PTSD, is connected to their service in our military. Part of the difficulty, Lee, has been the communication between the Defense Department and the VA. Over the last few years, have you seen this get any better?
In certain circumstances, yes, it has gotten better. Some of the larger commands are taking the time out to make sure that those warriors are being seen prior to discharge. And I truly believe that it's more of an issue for DOD making that communication known to the Veterans Administration.
Are you still seeing some vets get the runaround for injuries that are frankly apparent?
I don't know if I'd actually say runaround, but it's extremely difficult. And unfortunately, when they're discharged, those records now have to reach their way to the VA. And when they don't, the VA is making a decision on something they don't have, when it's clear to all of us that this injury resulted from service.
And Lee, you're dealing with this yourself. You have a back injury, and I would imagine that's the kind of thing that might be a little bit more difficult to get service connection to.
Well, you have to prove it, and then that's the hard part, is proving, you know, because it's, you know, I have X-rays, you have MRIs, and they show injuries, but you don't go in the military with this pre-existing condition. It's impossible.
You wouldn't be able to get into the military.
You couldn't serve,
right.
And so when you come out and you have this condition, you know, there's a lot of work, and luckily you have great VSOs, you know, like Lee Washington, who take time to research and show the condition as it's gotten worse. There are some that. I've heard stories of, you know, because you gained a lot of weight, that's why your knees are bad, or should it be the other way looked at, your knees are bad, so you've gained a lot of weight. So it's really about how the story is told to the VA when the injury occurs, or how to prove it.
Two other areas I want to get into, and Jerry, one of them is staffing issues, because as we said from the onset, many vets have no issue in terms of the quality of the care that they get at the VA, but there is an issue sometimes in terms of you know, the how long it takes to get an appointment based upon staffing level sometimes. And there's a new investigative report out from the VA's IG, right?
Yes, there is. But I want to address something Lee said for just a second about the communication between the DOD and the VA. That you're 100% correct. This would make a difference. And I read a report that in order for them to fix that problem of communication between the two, it would cost $6 billion and take 16 years to correct.
I've done that story for the past 16 years,
yeah.
So.
How could that happen? It's part of this reaction instead of being ahead of the curve. So today a report came out by the Investigator General and talked about the fact that there are huge staffing shortages across the country. And so the question is, well, how can you have good health care if there aren't people to treat you? Maybe you'll get your appointment. Maybe they've got appointment times down. But what's the follow-up on the appointment? In terms of, they said they're short medical officers. That's the number one thing they're short of. They're short nurses, number 2. Psychologists, 3. Physician assistants, 4, and 5 is medical technologists. So they're short, literally, I read somewhere that they're short over 40,000 people across the country. And that's a huge number.
Lee, I see this firsthand. I have friends who work at both the VA in the hospital in Tampa and at Bay Pines, and they are always hiring. I would imagine, or raise this as a question, is there are just so many medical technologists and nurses and doctors out there to fill these positions.
Most definitely, but I also think the training part of it has a part to play, because you're talking about a position that may take 2 years to truly understand what you're doing there. And, you know, unfortunately, you're going to have those opportunities to where a veteran is engaging with the VA and they just run across very bad customer service, not being told the things that they need to know and other alternatives to getting the help that they need.
Is that not improving?
It is, I would say, in our area, most definitely, because we have a very active community. Nationwide, it'd be hard to say. As we were speaking during the break, you think about those individuals being discharged, going back to rural America. They really don't have the systems in place to link them to all the services.
And that was the other area I wanted to get into, because there was also a new report, Jerry, is there not, in terms of veteran suicide?
That's a different report that came out today. But what's interesting, too, in terms of healthcare, they have and staffing, they have a problem keeping staff. They have huge losses. They're almost at 50-50. The people they bring on board, they're losing people. And if it takes 2 years to learn a job, they're losing probably the best people. To answer your question, today, in front of the Committee of Veterans Affairs, the Assistant Attorney General spoke about suicide. And they talked more, it's a 10-page statement. And they're talking more about data collection than actually what they're doing. But at the very end, they come to this conclusion, it's all about outreach. And Brian agrees with that, and I think Lee agrees with that.
Brian, this is obviously an incredibly personal injury to you, because your brother also served, and he committed suicide in Georgia, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And do you believe the fact that he lived in a rural area was partly responsible for the inability or the lack of outreach from the VA?
You know, I mean, he plugged in the best way he could, and he was also facing, you know, a transportation issue. You know, like we were discussing earlier, you know, to be in a rural area around Florida, you may have an opportunity to get to a VA clinic and they bust to an appointment. His closest big VA hospital was down in Jacksonville, which was 2 hours away. His smaller clinic was a regional outreach clinic who sometimes the clinician staff was not even available, and they wouldn't return phone calls. But you know, it was every place that he had gone, you know, different care exists. You know, I had often wondered if, you know, he would come to this area, what would have been different.
That's a question that we'll never be able to answer, but what we do know is that we have large rural areas in Florida, especially if we go to the south and to the east from here. And I know it's out of your territory, Lee, but I mean, do you hear from veterans in areas near here or not so near here that you know, wish that there were more services available out there for both medical and psychological issues? Every day. You know, you talk about the VA, it's a three-headed monster. It has benefits that are going to compensate a veteran from injuries or pensions. You have the Healthcare Administration, obviously we're talking about that today, and of course the National Cemetery Administration. But yes, we get calls from around the state, even around the country, asking particular questions. And I will say that the state of Florida is doing a great job, because the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs, once a veteran moves to this area and they get a new license, they are asked, would you like to be contacted by the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs, which then filters down to the community in which they now live. The thing is, in my experience, many veterans would, or some veterans, I should say, would answer no to that question. Yes. They're not going to, you know, it has to be outreach in a different way. That is correct. They don't always self-identify either, and that's another negative. Right. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll return for final thoughts in a moment.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
It's Willamania at the Players Center as the Will Rogers Follies takes the stage September 27th. Part homespun humor and part Ziegfeld Follies, this toe-tapping Tony Award musical is the start of our wild Broadway series. So call the Players at 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. You need to catch Willamania.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now, before it's too late.
Make us fly! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. Brian, you do amazing work in terms of your organization, in terms of getting vets jobs. You are a vet, you see a lot of vets. What is not being done right now that you think is really important to get done?
I mean, because every veteran's needs are different, and that's the situation. And how a veteran plugs himself into the system is very important. What we do is we try to answer basically every little need that we possibly can by bringing in veteran service officers, by bringing in the organizations that can support them in the community. I mean, and that's really where to me it goes back to, is that not all the needs a veteran needs is going to be met by the VA. Some of those things are it's impossible. I mean, sometimes a veteran needs someone just to talk to. And
a job.
And a job. And so this is why you put these people in the right places at the right time.
You're walking the walk here in the Sarasota area.
Thank you.
What are you seeing in terms of the availability of jobs for veterans who are coming home now?
Well, you know, there's a big issue where it comes to, you know, what you did in the military and how it crosses over into the civilian world. A lot of those things are being fixed, but that is a very slow process. There are some careers. I know myself, you know, being a combat paramedic, there were situations where I was only qualified to draw blood once I had returned from Iraq, where I was a level 3 trauma technician. And so you had to basically go back to school to reprove. And there used to be, you could challenge test, but those things, they took a flip-flop. And now you're having to get re-educated, retrained. But, you know, this is the purpose of the GI Bill and organizations like mine, to give people education and training and opportunity.
Lee, I'm going to ask you the same question in terms of what do we need to do better? I know that the VA is working hard to fix the problems it did have. The state puts a lot of money into it as well. What are we leaving out?
Yeah, I would say if we're going to see a true dent in any of the problems that we see, the four of us at this table, as well as your listening audience, we could do so much more than just waiting for the VA to fix itself. So I would say if you know of a veteran, have them reach out to their county representatives. As far as our office in Manatee County, every county in the state of Florida has an office just like ours. And you have to be a wartime veteran in order to do what we do. So we understand it. So those conversations that may be hard for family members to have, we can have it for them.
And Jerry, we often talk about the fact that money does not, in and of itself, does not fix all problems. But if you listen to some members of Congress, they say that they're still fighting the battle on Capitol Hill of getting the VA adequate funding to fix the problems, whether it's amount of delays in terms of treatment or staffing issues or like that. Where are we right now? Because, you know, it's a new day in Washington, new administration. Or are they putting their money where their mouths are?
Until we actually see a budget, I can't say yes or no. I do know that the last statistics say that the VA spent over $57 billion on health care. The VA does incredible work. It's the largest single integrated health care system in the United States. What they have to do, the VA has to settle two issues. They have to look at long-term problems and short-term problems. They need to have a plan. They need to talk about refocusing. Who are they going to treat? Veterans, veterans' family. They have over 1,400 facilities. Maybe since the demographics are going to change where the veterans live, maybe they should close some of those facilities, open up others, enter into private partnerships. There's all kinds, but they need a vision.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you some feedback on our topic last night, reaction to players, coaches, and NFL owners taking a knee, and President Trump's reaction. Some players took a knee during the national anthem. Some teams stayed in the locker room. The protest started about a year ago when Colin Kaepernick kneeled during the national anthem to protest police brutality. But the numbers skyrocketed last weekend after President Trump said, quote, wouldn't you love to see one of those NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that SOB off the field right now? Well, here's what some of you have to say. Leanne says Trump's crazy rantings led to this whole mess. His desire to get his base back and stir the pot knows no limits. I do not believe the NFL was disrespecting the flag and that their protests were peaceful and just. Much classier than anything that comes out of the White House lately. Sandy says take a knee as a team before the game, stand arms linked as a team, and salute the flag. Americans, both sides, win, go teams. But Mike says, why does the media add fuel? You all are most of the problem. Yeah, Mike, if the media just didn't report on what happens, there wouldn't be a problem. Got it. Well, if you'd like to add your voice to the conversation tonight, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're available on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Brian Jacobs, an Iraq combat vet, Lee Washington of the Manatee Veteran Health Services, and our own consumer watchdog, Jerry Zivick. When we return, we'll have a final look at your First Alert weather. Plus, President Trump spoke in Indiana today to present his plan for tax reform. Stay with us.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-307-2040 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-307-2040 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-307-2040.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A contract that weathered Tet. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our First Alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A beautiful sunset tonight it was here along the coast. We have clear skies for the most part near the coast, with some clouds in the inland area, a few showers there, and additional moisture coming up from the south. Right now that heavy weather is moving out of our viewing area down south. We've had a few showers here east of I-75 today. That activity also starting to come to an end. After producing up to an inch and a half of rainfall in some isolated areas, there could be some outflow showers developing with that rain chance. Very small through this evening for coastal locations. The rainfall estimates past 24 hours indicating nearly 2 inches of rain right there in the east central portions of Sarasota County and southeast Manatee County. Well, more rain is on the way as a result of this tropical disturbance. Good news is it's a broad area of low pressure. There's no real organization at this time, but this will drift northward throughout the next couple of days, and there's a slight chance it could develop here just north of Cuba and maybe in the northwest Bahamas as a low pressure area. It wouldn't be too significant in terms of wind, but it could bring some locally heavy rainfall at this time. The upper level low continues to spin here. As it is spinning itself out, it will continue to move off to the north and east as high pressure builds in. So that'll be around for one more day. Limited shower activity on Thursday. Better chance for rain comes on Friday. The evening planner looks to be pretty nice, albeit warm, 79 by 11 o'clock. And then currently we have clear skies and 84 out there. The winds out of the northwest at 10. And the pressure now 2987 inches. The forecast tomorrow does call for a chance for a few showers to develop along the sea breeze. Once it develops and pushes inland, there'll be inland showers possible on Thursday. Rain chance not all that high tomorrow, only at around 20%. Well, this is an amazing little storm here. Tightly compact Category 3 hurricane. Lee, which at one point was given up for dead there in the central Atlantic, and now is back to a major hurricane, but affecting no land area at this time as it makes its way off toward the west and then eventually toward the north and northeast. Well, there's Maria. The two bounced back to a tropical storm from actually now it's a hurricane. It was a tropical storm yesterday at this time, and now we have Lee as a major hurricane. Winds at 115 miles an hour, and the forecast path and track take it similar off into the open waters of the Atlantic in time. So not a problem for any land areas at this time. Temperatures around the northeast warm in places like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, as well as Columbus at 80s there, low 80s. Cooler over the northern plains and into the northern Rockies, into the 60s and 70s in that region. For boaters tomorrow, looks to be pretty good boating-wise. We'll see seas running 2 feet or less with a light chop in the bays and inland waters, and we are anticipating water temperatures to stay into the mid-80s. There it is, a light chop out there. And as far as the water temperature goes now, it's 88 degrees, and that's fairly warm, and it's warm all throughout the Western Caribbean. High tide at 8:43. Just had sunset. Sunrise will be at 7:22. Tonight, a few isolated showers still possible up until about midnight. And then for tomorrow, a 20% chance for a shower or two, 90 for your high. The extended forecast is calling for increasing rain chances as we head toward the weekend, and it will turn windy on Sunday and Monday. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251. 800-628-1251.
We asked our customers, why is Consumer Cellular your choice in wireless?
Consumer Cellular helps me save money. It's simple and easy.
It is reliable.
I like the fact that there are no contracts.
By moving to Consumer Cellular, my cost is 50% less than it was.
They fit the plan to you.
I have everything I want with Consumer Cellular.
Their customer service is fabulous.
Customers are the #1 priority.
I really feel like they take care of me.
We're proud to have received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 3 times in a row.
We really appreciate the AARP discount.
AARP members get exclusive discounts.
It's easy to switch. You could use your own phone and you could use your own number.
Wild horses wouldn't drag me away from Consumer Cellular.
Go with Consumer Cellular.
You're going to save a lot of money.
Switch today. It's all backed by a 30-day risk-free guarantee. Call 1-800-368-8758. Go online or visit a Target store today.
Checking our primetime headlines. After striking out on health care, Republicans are shifting their focus to tax reform. President Trump unveiled the framework of a plan during a speech in Indianapolis today. ABC's Serena Marshall with the details.
Republicans moving on and ready for a win.
Tax reform is going to make health care look like a piece of cake.
President Trump laying out a framework for tax reform at a speech in Indiana today. The administration says they make sure not to shift the tax burden from high-income taxpayers to lower and middle-class Americans.
We will cut taxes for the everyday, hard-working Americans, the people that work so long, so hard, and they've been forgotten, but they're not forgotten anymore.
So what does it do? The plan would slash the corporate tax rate to 20% from its current 35%, reduce 7 tax brackets down to only 3, and in doing so, lower the top individual tax rate to 35% while raising the tax rate on low-income earners to 12%. It'd repeal the estate tax while doubling the size of standard deductions for married couples and individuals, and expand the tax credit for families with children.
This unified framework delivers a new tax code that is simple, that is fair, that is pro-growth and pro-family.
While Republicans line up behind the president, Democrats calling it a false promise to the middle class.
The Ryan McConnell tax framework is not tax reform. It is a framework that gives away the store to the wealthiest while sticking the middle class with a bill.
Republicans are looking for a big legislative win after their failed attempt at repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act. President Trump this time using the bully pulpit of the White House. Today's stop the first in a cross-country blitz on tax reform. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Despite the failure of the latest GOP health care bill, President Trump is vowing Obamacare repeal efforts are not dead, tweeting, of course, with one yes vote in hospital and very positive signs from Alaska and two others. McCain is out. We have the health care vote, but not for Friday. The yes vote may refer to Senator Thad Cochran, who is recovering from medical treatment. A senior GOP aide says there might be another push on health care after the Senate tries to pass tax reform. The largest airport in Puerto Rico is still crippled nearly a week after Hurricane Maria hit. People hoping to get off the island are standing in long lines at the airport in San Juan. There are a limited number of flights in and out of the island, but because of damage to radar and other equipment, there is no air conditioning because the airport is running on limited power and only one vendor is selling water and a limited amount of food. Airlines are using larger planes to handle as many passengers as possible. Defense Secretary James Mattis is meeting with Afghanistan's president during an unannounced visit to Kabul. It is the first time Mattis has visited Afghanistan since President Trump declared a new U.S. strategy in the 16-year war.
Each nation stands united with their fellows in their support, and we will not abandon Afghanistan to a merciless enemy trying to kill its way to power.
A rocket landed near the airport shortly after Mattis left the area, injuring at least 5 civilians. One of college basketball's best-known coaches is sidelined. Louisville coach Rick Pitino is on unpaid leave amid a federal corruption probe. The school says both Pitino and athletic director Tom Jurich were placed on administrative leave. It comes after assistant coaches from 4 other schools were among 10 people arrested Tuesday on federal charges. Prosecutors say they took cash, bribes, and kickbacks in exchange for steering elite college players to corrupt financial advisors. The goal was for the athletes to retain those financial advisors upon entering the NBA. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.